The head of the House of Mouse, CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger, is doing his darndest to get the company he led astray back to the mainstream middle sensible center where money can be made. Moderating. Bob Iger trying to go to the Oval Office and convince Donald Trump that he must not hate Disney so much. And yet, within days, his own company sabotaging those efforts. We'll tell you what's up and how ABC News is involved yet again right now. Hello, folks. It is a zippity-doo-dah kind of day. Mr. Bluebird is on my shoulder, and we are not over the coverage of ABC and what they're doing to the Disney company, not by a long shot. ABC, part of those news organizations like CBS, CNN, MSNBC, and so many others that seem to have no allegiance to their shareholders, but instead only want to be partisan, continuing mouthpieces for a particular political point of view. Folks, as we get ready to dive in, click the like button. We've got insights on the issue and more than a few. It is the big news, the headline of the day. Disney and Bob Iger seem ready to wave the white flag towards El Trumpo, recognize that there is a seismic shift in the political landscape, and they're ready to be moderate again, go to the middle. But parts of Disney are not willing to do so, and we're talking about they will go kicking and screaming. Disney doesn't have any plan, not even dreaming of a way to fix this issue. This is out of Deadline. It says, Donald Trump calls Disney Abu Dhabi Resort incredible after meeting with Bob Iger, but POTUS, that's President of the United States, then threatens ABC with a new lawsuit. It's by Ted Johnson, and it really points out just what a problem Disney has, because at the same time the CEO is sitting down at the Oval Office with Orange Man, well, the rest of Disney just can't get their act together and decide to stop being partisan. We're not asking them to be conservative. We're not asking them to be libertarian. We're asking them to just get out of being so strongly to the left. It says during his visit to Abu Dhabi last week, President Donald Trump made a passing reference to a meeting he had days earlier with the House of Mouse CEO, Big Bobby Iger. Iger, Trump said, showed him recently announced plans for a Disney theme park. Bob Iger was in my office. Oh, I got to do the voice. Hang on.
Bob Iger was in my office, and he was showing it to me. It is going to be incredible.
Trump said in a speech on Friday, the resort on Yas Island will combine Disney's iconic stories, characters, and attractions with Abu Dhabi's vibrant culture, stunning shorelines, and breathtaking architecture, the company said in announcing the theme park earlier this month. They'll be building it, by the way. A Disney spokesperson said Bob Iger had a productive meeting with the president to brief him on Disney's plan to build a theme park and the company's major investments in the United States. Wait a minute. Disney has updated this. Remember, folks, Disney didn't want to talk about it. Now Disney is saying something. So what is Disney saying? Let me translatify it for you. Bob Iger, CEO of the company, had a productive meeting, that means positive, with the president of the United States, that means Trump, to brief him on Disney's plan to build a theme park. Okay, cool. And the company's major investments in the United States. Trump is always wanting these companies to show him that they are adding to the U.S. economy and not sending jobs overseas. Please, folks, understand that this is new. We haven't seen this before. Deadline's got it. Part of the Disney statement is telling shareholders that Bob Iger sat down with Donald Trump to talk about how much money they're willing to put into the U.S. economy. That's what this meeting was at least in part about. It was about business. It's about the economy. They didn't, by the way, Disney was not keen on getting this out there. Trump put this out there. All right, so let's go to what's happening now. Okay, so the day after Trump referenced the new resort, he was again calling out Iger, this time over ABC News reporting on the Qatari plane deal. ABC News was the first to report that the administration was about to accept a 747-8 jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar. The plan is to use the plane as Air Force One and then have it transferred to Trump's Presidential Library Foundation, which means it would sit there as a museum piece. Trump has defended the gift amid criticism from Democrats and some Republicans. Folks, it's all this stuff is political. I don't care. We're not going to cover it, okay? Whether or not he gets the plane, whether or not it's okay, whether or not, the Qatar can do this, all outside of my lane, don't care. Not going to cover it. Here's what I care about. Trump is not happy with ABC, and within just, days, Bob Iger wants to make friends with Trump. The CFO of Disney wants to make friends with Trump. And within days, ABC News is determined to make that impossible. On Truth Social, Trump wrote, everyone, including their lawyers, has been told that ABC must not say that Qatar is giving me a free Boeing 747 airplane because they're not. And definitively, that's true. What they're trying to do is Qatar is trying to give the plane to the U.S., not to Trump. Then, when the plane is out of service, it would go as a museum piece and sit still at a library. That's what this is. And apparently Trump is saying that ABC News is declaring this in a false way. So he says instead, and it's fake news, ABC fully knows and understands this highly respected country is donating the plane to the United States Air Force Defense Department and not to me. Hinting that he would take legal action, Trump also referenced a $16 million settlement he reached with ABC over a defamation lawsuit he filed against the network last year over remarks made by George Stephanopoulos. But even if Trump is not receiving the plane directly, it has continued to raise ethical concerns, yada, yada, yada. All right, we're out of that. We don't care about that. We don't care about the politics of it. We care about the fact that Bob Iger tries to get this company back. And Iger sabotaged this years ago, but he tries to get it back to the middle, and he can't. He literally can't get this company back to the middle because he has hired people who are so dedicated to being partisan. I'll give you one more video to just sort of expound on this, and then we'll hand it to the panel. Nicholas Fondacaro has this. It's another clip from The View. We're tired of playing The View. Apparently, so are you. You don't have it on your screens on your TVs. The ratings are dropping. Here's what you say.
But that brings me to a very interesting point, you see, because they're going to have to figure out when this takes place. Is this going to be for people from 1950 all the way to here?
Just clarifying, Whoopi's talking about immigration right now. We'll let it keep playing.
Because if it is, if it's from, depending on how far back you go, the president, whose dad came from Germany to Canada to the U.S., would not be able to stay.
I strongly believe this Supreme Court will uphold birthright citizenship.
I believe
and
so.
If you saw Amy Coney Barrett was asking very tough questions of the attorneys.
Yes, she was. And this is part of the Constitution. This is in our Constitution.
We cannot continue to allow these conversations about things that are part of the Constitution to be talked about lightly.
All right, so that's The View. And of course, Whoopi's coming out and saying that Trump's family would have been deported. Trump's family. And she's not noting here, and, she can have whatever opinion she wants. We don't care. But she's not noting that Trump's family fled the thing that they now call him so often, Yahtzee. They fled that, went to Canada in fleeing that, and then legally came to the United States. And so Whoopi ignores that and then says that his family would be deported under these rules. Okay. Whether that's right or wrong, whether you agree or disagree, the point here is that Disney's trying to make nice, but there are so many factions inside Disney that have been made so radicalized by Bob Iger over the past years when that was the thing to do, when that was what they all thought they should do because they thought we're going to have 20 years of left-leaning rule inside the United States. That's not true anymore, and he can't get the various parts of the company to come along with him. Panel, what say you? What should Bob do?
Strategy and plans always fall to culture. The Bob created the culture that currently exists within Disney. So it doesn't matter how grandiose the plan, it doesn't matter what the proclamation is. If he desires a true return to the middle, then there's only really one thing that he can do, and that he has to make the tough decision and eat some crow publicly, and he has to eliminate every single ideologue that he put in place and allowed to build the teams that now currently exist. Because if he's telling the truth, it can't happen, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. This is operations 101. Anybody who's ever run anything understands that when you're talking about long-term strategy, if your team is rotten to the core, they're not going to buy in. It doesn't matter how well you explain it. You cannot get the machine working if the cogs refuse to turn. And this is the grim reality that Bob faces. So unless they're gonna make some real tough decisions, this is all just smoke and mirrors and trying to kill some time in hopes that when Orange Man Bad goes away, it may be the pendulum that he helped push to the other side is swinging back in a direction that he thinks will be useful for him.
Well, do we think that the CBS lawsuit, though, do we think as a panel that the CBS lawsuit has maybe struck some fear in ABC? I mean, what Trump is saying is that they're making knowingly false statements about this arrangement with the government of Qatar. I just wondered, like, does Disney look at this, what's happening with CBS and the FCC, and say, you know what, we really don't want to be under FCC investigation like them? I don't understand what the play here is. You know, I don't understand why Iger can't bring the gavel down inside some of these departments.
Well, this is not a uniquely Disney problem. Look at CBS right now. CBS has billions upon billions of dollars on the line because of the 60 Minutes issue with Trump, and the FCC is holding up their massive Skydance merger, and they can't stop Stephen Colbert from going out on TV every night and shooting his mouth off. It's not a uniquely Disney thing. I think a lot of these studio heads are starting to try to come back toward the middle because they realize not just who the president is, but where the temperature of the entire country has come from. But the problem, as Kevin so eloquently put it, is they have put these ideologues in these positions of power because they grossly overestimated the reach that progressivism was going to have in the coming years, and they won't stop. An activist will not stop. The only way to stop them is to fire them. Period. End.
I was thinking about it, and I think it was when you talk about the way that they covered the supposed gift to Donald Trump here, I just think of other transactions if we're considering these gifts here. I was thinking about a time when a large amount of planes and maybe also military vehicles also changed hands. A different part of the Middle East, though. Media was very apprehensive to cover that transfer of somewhere between $23 and $80 billion worth of military equipment. I wouldn't exactly call that a gift, but this, which is going to the government, not to Donald Trump, but it is in service of Trump or Trump's ego. That is definitely being classified as a gift. It's so funny to watch the different takes on how that is all covered. It's one plane.
I think I do think that you're right, Pro. There is some fear floating around out there. Forever and a day, the right has been content with doing this gentleman's party nonsense where they're always above the fray and there's no pushback. It doesn't matter how outlandish or how horrendous the accusation is, from the days of throwing grandma off the cliff, they want your kids to drink dirty water, blah, 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 blah. And then came along the orange monster, who is so used to having to play New York politics that he will fight anybody and anyone anywhere over even the most minute of slights. And then it's also inspired other people to push back. Whether it was the kids that CNN ravaged. And you're seeing these outlets start to lose in court quickly and decisively. So their concern has to be, well, fine, we can try to sweat it out until he's gone, but we're also seeing folks come into office who really don't mind getting in the mud and getting a little dirty. And we may beat one, but can we beat them all? And how much money can we lose? So they're being forced to at least return to the pretense of neutrality. But they're being dragged there kicking and screaming. And they're kind of going, well, what do we do now? Because we put people in place who out and out reject a return to normalcy, out and out reject them having to play by something that vaguely resembles rules. The mission is the only thing that matters to these folks. And do you publicly say, hey, we made a mistake when we chose to get in bed with these folks? Or do you dare incur their wrath when you start removing their avatars in the corporate space? I think that's where you're seeing a lot of the fear and trepidation play out. They don't know which poison pill they need to swallow, but they know they need to swallow one.
Well, the funny thing is, Disney was fairly moderate up until 2014, 2015, 2016, and that's when they started hiring very, very disproportionate amounts of people who are not classical liberals, but who are hard leftists. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that the most recent data we've seen is that political contributions from the Walt Disney Company from their employees are something like 90% to Democrats. Mm-hmm. Okay. The problem there is, and Marvin, I'll toss this to you. The problem is that if you've got 90% of your company going in one particular political direction, when you decide that it's no longer monetarily advisable or desirable for you to go in that direction with your kids' content and everything else, some percentage of the 90% is going to say, screw you, no way. I came here under, the activist plan. I'm here to make changes, darn it. I'm here to change the world, and I'm not changing my mind. Screw you. You'll have to get rid of me, and it's going to be painful for you. So I don't know how they moderate this. Let's just say that it's 45%. If 90% of the employees lean in one direction and half of those say, no, we're not willing to change, you're at like almost half of your employees. Almost half of your employees are dedicated politically to you not doing what the CEO is gently trying to do now.
They have learned a very simple formula, Pro. When you say Orange Man bad, it makes Orange Man mad, and that makes Weatherman sad.
Who's the Weatherman, Marvin, for those who don't know the reference?
That would be Bob Iger.
That's right. Started off as a weatherman. Not so sunny anymore.
Well,
that
was all I had to add. It was a joke.
Are you going to force Gump us on that? Then that's all I got to say about that.
I'm going out on a high note.
Love it. Erica, any chance we get back to the sensible center?
No, not until Iger is gone and they really start to clean house. They're too into their ideologies. Their activism it's a religion to them. So it's not going to change. I think one day, way down the road, we'll see a shift.
Maybe.
But it's going to be a long time. They really need to hit some serious rock bottom, and it could mean losing in a lot of lawsuits or whatever the case may be. But I am interested to see how this plays out because Trump has given them another fair warning. So all I got to say is don't give them a warning. Just take her to court. Just get her done. Bring them down. I'm sorry. I'm just sick and tired of them getting away with the defamation and not simply reporting on the truth. I mean, it's out there.
Yep, I'm with you. Now, Lilo and Stitch, that may be another indication, though, to the shareholders that going to the middle is a big winner for them. I just don't know how they do it consistently. Ron, you've faced this firsthand. You've been inside the company and seen how this plays out. Your thoughts on what Disney leadership is facing if they even tried to go back to the middle?
Look, I'm just thinking about this, and I'm starting to realize the move going into Abu Dhabi, that probably ticked off a lot of people inside of Disney, knowing that that particular country is not exactly in line with those far leftist values that they hold. So what I'm going to say is, what if that is just the tip of the iceberg of a move that Disney makes, not to try and have to fire some of those people, but let's see if they leave on their own. I don't really know. It's really just speculation. But as far as actually cleaning house, I don't think that happens under Bob Iger's leadership. Maybe it happens under new leadership because that gives an excuse. Like a new leader coming in has the excuse to be able to say, hey, I'm new. We're going to change things up from the way the last decade has gone. But the problem is a lot of these far leftists they're in the media. They're ingrained in ABC. They're ingrained in ESPN. They're ingrained in places that have absolutely nothing to do with parks. And I hope that they see that the country has shifted. Nobody wants this. Like on a big scale, what people want is, like you say, the sensible center, the mainstream middle where the money is made. And I think you're right about Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is probably going to be a really great moneymaker because it sticks to a beloved story that people love to watch with no activism, nobody pushing a certain particular message. And I think that's what we want to see a lot more of. Let's see what happens maybe not under Bob Iger, but maybe under the next leader of Walt Disney Company.
Right. Lilo is not going to be an undocumented Chinese immigrant living in Hawaii trying to flee from the United States government. She's not going to be someone who has lost all her appendages and one of her nostrils. She's not going to be, Nani is in love with David, shocking that A. And so that's the way they're going to go and make money is by not making parents have to have uncomfortable conversations after they leave the theater. That's why it'll make $1.5 billion or more. That's what happened with Inside Out 2 when they scrubbed away all the stuff that would have got them in trouble otherwise. And that's why the company needs to do it at large. The only problem is 90% of this company is made up of people who disagree with what I just said. That's a place for dread for Disney.
What I've always said, Pro, they got to start just giving us the Saudi Arabian cut.
On the way. Put this baby to bed. This video is over. Turn off the lights, but not quite yet, folks, because we do ask one final thing before we say goodbye, and that is, would you consider clicking the like button? Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Also greatly appreciated. Anytime you would like to share this out on your favorite social media platforms, well, we would love that. And we'd also love to hear your thoughts. Folks, drop a comment down below and use that beautiful mind of yours. If you would not mind, we'd love to know what you're thinking. Also, if you would like to become a member of the channel, it's as simple as clicking the join button. It is the price of a soda per month, and you'll gain access to all kinds of new, cool, exclusive information. Folks, until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. I mean, she's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.